Estamos 8 em janeiro, então acho que a gente tem que parar um pouquinho, ter uma estratégia para o ano que vem não repetir os mesmos erros.
Yo people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for another video, and I haven't done a news video in a while, and I haven't spoken about the recent transfer links because you know how I am about this stuff. I want it to be concrete and crystal clear from top tier sources, otherwise I'm not interested. And I'm living and breathing right now for that Pochettino news. So I want to kind of talk about everything together, regardless of whether I really believe some of the links or not. And it's very important to understand that people right now in the media are profiting off of the Todd Boehly kind of train almost. And listen, we are a club that at the moment we seem to have our news too accessible, and it's too clear what we're trying to do at all times, whether it's targets, whether it's managers, whether it's anything in regards to club activity. We seem to be the headline, and some journalists that don't really have info and don't really have sources are merely getting their clicks, merely hitting their targets each month, their quota, by using our name and linking us to people and players that aren't really on our radar. However, with the asterisks that some of the links could be true, looking at Neymar, looking at Mane, looking at Rafinha, I have a warning. I have a warning for Todd Boehly. I have a massive warning coming up to this summer. You have employed people in positions of power. You have placed directors across the board. We have so many technical and sporting directors that at this point they may even come to a head and arguments amongst themselves as to who they actually want, because there's just so many different probably ideas and preferences depending on where you've worked in Germany or in England, Winstanley, Vale, etc. You know, you'll have your own specialties and your own leagues that you have, you know, preference to in terms of players that you know better than others, etc. So it's just already a mess in some regards. What we do not need is you, Todd Boehly, coming into the office and coming into the frame and having opinions on which players we should sign. We had this last year with Cristiano Ronaldo. You was technically acting as our sporting director because you had sacked everybody. Fair enough. You made some mistakes. Fair enough. I am not going to tolerate, I am not going to compute, understand, and allow myself to come up with any excuses as to why this summer we should have any sort of chaos with you involved directly in the center of that. If you want a player like a Neymar, I'm sorry, if it goes against, and I'm pretty sure it would go against the directors that you've employed to find players for us, then don't waste our time in pursuing a player like Neymar. I don't want Todd Boehly to get wrapped up into agents and wrapped up into opportunities. There are going to be a lot of players, and all three of these players that I've mentioned so far are players that are linked with moves away. They have become opportunities. They have not become part of our plan. They are not players that we were told that was on a list for Pochettino in goalkeeper, DM and striker. These are players that are playing outside of the main positions of improvement, outside of the positions of where we actually need to strengthen. We were told, and is well reported, goalkeeper, DM, striker. There is a shopping list. Please stick to what is on the list. Do not start to go and buy custard creams and jammy dodgers and opportunities and no favors for agents. Fixate on the list. Stick to the list. Stick to the priorities. I don't want to hear talk about wingers when we have Madueke, Mudryk, Kalamazoo-Doi, Ziyech, Pulisic, Sterling, Amari Hutchinson, the new kid from Benfica. How many more wingers, remember we need to sell. So we sell first before we buy. And I don't need to explain to you how difficult it will be to sell players in this market, because outside of the Premier League, the European market, there's not a lot of money out there. They're going to try loan deals. They're going to try and get us to pay and subsidize the wages. The amount of players we need to get rid of and the likelihood of us actually getting rid of all of these players is extremely unlikely and almost borderline impossible. So we will be left with, and I can put my savings on it, I don't have much, but I'll put it on there, I can put it safely and say that regardless of how well we do in the summer, we will still be left with some players that we deem not so valuable, or deadwood, or players that we didn't want to keep, right? Bakayoko's, all these guys, Ampadu's, Baba Rahman's, we're going to be left with some players. We're not going to sell most likely 18, 20 players as much as we need to. We're probably not going to do that. So unless it's the key core positions, the spine of the team, I don't want to see rumours to opportunities. Mane is an opportunity because Bayern Munich, he's fallen out of favour. Neymar is an opportunity because he's fallen out of the way that PSG would like to proceed, move forward. Same goes for Rafinha at Barcelona. These are opportunities, but these are also players that are coming towards that age where their value is only going to decrease and their value is only going to demise after said signing of them. So if you're going to sign a player in their peak, you have to be absolutely sure that that player is going to do well. Otherwise, you're not getting any return. I don't want to see us wasting time going after everybody that comes up. And by the way, we've already had quite a few directors that have rejected us because they don't feel like they're going to get the power and they don't feel like they're going to get the final say. And most directors, most top directors, whether that be Edwards, whether that be, Mitchell, all of these guys that we've been linked with previously and still are at points, they want to know that if you're bringing them in because they know what they're doing, that they get final say on how they're structuring and constructing the squad, because you're paying them to do a job, you're paying them to put together a squad in the image of the manager and of the philosophy and identity you have set. So if you then override them and overrule them with flashy signings or marketing moves, then you are going to potentially lose some of the people. And I'm kind of foreseeing this almost, right? If we don't move in the correct manner, you're going to potentially annoy the people you've employed because you are not really actually allowing them to do their job, and you're getting in their way and you're slowing down the process. And this summer, we cannot afford to be slow. We cannot afford to waste time. We cannot afford to have confusion. We cannot afford to have you thinking one way, them thinking the other. We are meant to be a club that is trying to buy intelligently. We were told that we were going to bring the wage bill down. There are already going to be issues with the fact that some of the players that we've signed up on new contracts will have their wage cut down by a deficit because of a lack of Champions League football next year, which was input in their contracts, and players that have not signed new contracts, that are on existing contracts, that are going to be paid the same wage next season, regardless of Champions League football or not. That already causes a conflict in the squad. What we don't need now is signing a Neymar, right? For instance, how much money is he going to be on? 350? I don't know. Again, I don't truly believe, but you have Lukaku coming back, also on 300. You have the goalkeepers. You have Kepa on 100 and God knows what. You have so many issues to deal with and so much of a high wage bill to contend with. Baba Rahman's on 100k. I don't have to keep going. The point is that unless it's the spine, unless it's an absolute integral key signing that is 100% necessary, I don't want to see many players coming in, personally. I'm speaking for myself. I don't want to see many players come in. We have this fetish. They call it retail therapy. That's what Central C called that song. We have a fetish for new signings. We have signings that have not worked out yet that are very well capable of improving and doing very well for us if we actually get them in the right environment and circumstance. What we cannot go and do this summer is buy too many players and buy 5 and 6 and expect to integrate that on top of the lot that we have not integrated, on top of the fact that we have a massive squad and returning loanees. It's all too much. It's all too much. 3 signings, max, 4 at a push, and sell. Like The Apprentice, right? Sell for Lord Sugar. And I just want things to be calm and quiet and peaceful. The only thing I want public right now is Pochettino's announcement. Because when you make, and this is my next point, when you make managerial shortlists public, you kind of ruin your own process in terms of selection, because now everybody knows what you're doing. They're going to have opinions on that. Nagelsmann doesn't want to be in a queue. He doesn't want to be one of the bunch. But if you kept yourselves quiet and kept it in-house, he would never know. He would be none the wiser. You could talk to him, and it doesn't matter. Same with players. How many times have we missed out on players last summer in their teething phase of being sporting director Todd Boehly, because everything was leaked, because everything was public? Every player that we were interested in knew the shortlist, knew. If we as fans know, of course the players know, of course the agents know. So if we want top targets, not only do we have to move swiftly and quickly, but we also need to not leak our entire shortlist and leak every single move we make, because that is going to put players off. Players want to feel special. They want to feel like they're the one that you're really chasing. The player wants to feel like you're the one that you really that you really want for that position. They don't want to be told that they're on a shortlist of 10 or 20 players, even though that is how it works. So again, keep it in-house. Keep things quiet. It's too much noise, it's too many leaks, and I'm saying this with an asterisk. I'm saying with an asterisk because it could more than likely be that we're just getting tabloid, crappy, low-level news journalism, and people are just taking advantage of clicks. And maybe none of these 3 players in particular I've mentioned are true. But if they are, that is my opinion on what I am seeing currently, and kind of a warning as to what could happen in the summer if we get things completely wrong and butcher the way we move as an institution. And we cannot afford to get it wrong. We cannot. We've already had our season of getting things wrong. Everything this summer needs to go as perfectly as possibly can be if we are to have any chance next season of hitting respectable targets of top 4 and winning a cup and getting back to the way that we know Chelsea to be. Any fuck ups this summer, any piss takes, any foolishness, any nonsense, any drama, and I promise you next season will be very, very difficult for us. It will be a long day. So I'm putting this warning out there, and I want to know what you guys think in the comments, because I'm seeing so much stupid news floating about and none of it really makes sense. We've got Broja coming back from injury. I'm interested to see what's going on there. I've seen a shortlist that makes sense for the key positions that we need. And then recently I'm seeing stupid names that are only coming up because they need a move and they need a break and they need an escape from their current club and their form and their... I don't want to hear it. We are not your fool. We are not your opportunity. We are not your chance to revive your career. Fuck all that, right? I'm not interested. I'm done trying to revive Mandem's career. We need to revive ourselves as a club. So we need people that are on the upward trajectory and part of our plan and what our scouts actually say we need. I'm not interested in no opportunities from agents of players that didn't want to come to us last year in Rafinha under Deco and now suddenly is an opportunity for us. Please move yourself, yeah? Take yourself and away from us. We're not doing that this time, right? We're not doing that. Players need to want to be here, and that takes me to Cover. You know how I feel about Cover. I think he's a very, very good player. I think losing the vast amount of experience that we potentially could lose at this time in Cover, in certain players, obviously we've lost Jorginho in January. It's all a lot in one go. However, if he doesn't want to be here, then there really isn't much choice in my opinion but to get rid on a last year upcoming and make some sort of turnover financially for the books. That's how I feel. Kante looks like he's staying. Pochettino apparently, reportedly, sees him as a key figure. Fantastic. Bring it. Contract. Make sure it's obviously, you know, something feasible in terms of finances where he's not earning 300k a week or 250k a week and playing 3 games a season. And reshuffle that midfield and bring in that 6 and then close the door. Close the door. You know, people are talking about bringing in 2 6s, bringing in 2 midfielders. I think when you're not playing European football, I think that we need to be careful not to overcrowd and bloat out the squad. People talk about bringing in another winger because we could lose 3 or 4 wingers in, you know, in Hudson-Odoi, in Pulisic, in Ziyech. And I'm thinking to myself, we're in 3 competitions next year. We're in a Carabao Cup, which we would rest for anyway. We're in an FA Cup, which we would rest in the early rounds anyway, regardless of whether we want to win the trophy or not. If we're playing against, you know, Stockport, Maddisfield Town, we're resting, right? We're resting. And we're playing young players that deserve opportunities. I think you can get away with, for me personally, 3 first-team senior wingers and 1 young player, on top of the fact that Nkuku can play out wide and Felix's future is still undecided. We'll see what happens. I don't think we need to over-bloat the squad. What I would like us to do is spend a normal amount of money, not too much money on key areas, right? If you have to go big on key positions, on almost bona fide, fantastic upgrades, then fair. No one's ever going to begrudge. But let's not overdo it. Let's not overkill with the squad. How about we throw in a couple of names that are potentials? Throw in a couple of names that we have already signed in carnies. Give them opportunities. Flesh out and find out if they're good enough to play for this football club. And then next summer, we'll know what we need to top up again. What I don't want us to do is put loads of credit on the phone and we don't use the credit and we don't call anyone and we don't text anyone and we don't roam and we don't go here and we don't go there. Keep the squad condensed. Keep it concise. Buy who you have to buy, not who you think you need. Just buy what you absolutely have to buy. which is a non-negotiable. Surround it with some talent and go into next season with a normal size squad with a few opportunities for places for young players, and then you can make more decisions in the following summer of what you need. Do not overdo it. Do not overdo it. Because for me, when you overdo it, you set up circumstances where people can't thrive because there really is just not enough. There's not enough opportunities available. We are in 3 competitions. We don't have Europe. So we don't need that much of a squad in terms of we don't need what we usually think we need, which is, you know, every single position needs to have 2 or 3 players competing. You need 2 players max, and that's it for me. After that, you got a couple of youngsters to fill it out, and that's it. If there's injury prone players, that's a different conversation. There shouldn't be injury prone players too much in too many key areas. You know how I feel about that. I've spoken about that before. So for me, that's how I want to see it. We've got a good team. We've got good players. Just needs a little bit of glossing over, and that's it. Don't take the piss here and do a madness. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below of these weird little rumors that are rumbling around. I will do videos on striker, DM, goalkeeper, and a list of 5 for each position in terms of reports and who I think are maybe the best options out there for the spine of the team, and obviously a sale list as well. I will do that at the end of the season. I'll do all of this after Poch is announced, because until he's announced, what are we really discussing? Because we haven't got a manager, and we all know things at Chelsea are never normal. Things could cake in at any moment and suddenly the whole dynamic changes. So I'm still on edge until he's appointed and officially announced by the club. I'm not going to take anything for granted. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and big up your damn selves. In a bit, people. Peace.